What's up, trucking family? So listen, I need y'all to bring it in real quick. So listen, have you ever noticed how the minute you apply for a leadership position, people start acting like you don't have management experience, but they've been trusting you with 80,000 pounds, the public safety, DOT compliance, company equipment, and customers relations. Baby, let me put my tea down. Make that make sense. The math ain't mathing. But listen, don't get discouraged. Let me help you navigate. That's what Auntie is here for. Because 9 times out of 10, it's not that you can't lead. It's that you haven't been taught how to translate what you already do. And sometimes, let's be honest, your attitude might be telling your story before your resume actually even gets to the person that needs to see it. So listen, we're going to fix that. So by the end of this episode, you're going to know how to recognize leadership skills that you already use every day, how to position yourself like a leader before you actually even get the title, how to communicate in ways that make decision makers take you seriously, and which lane that you can kind of pick or that you can pick from, right? So you got operations, you got compliance, you got training, you got safety, and how to start building your path right now. All right. So if you're new here, welcome to the yard. I am your host, Mia, or as some like to call me, your favorite trucking IT, transportation professional of 23 years, safety coach, DOT compliance and driver trainer, a CDO state examiner, and the founder of Gorgeous Truck Hers. And on this episode, I wanted to do this because I see so many great drivers get overlooked, and it's not because they can't lead, but it's because nobody ever showed them how to package their road experience in a way that leadership understands. So today, baby, Auntie's giving you the cheat code. So make sure you grab your notebook, or at least, kind of act like you listening. All right? All right. Cue my music.
Artlist.io.
You're listening to the 10 radio with Mia. 23 years in the game, still shifting gears, still dropping gems, and still gorgeous truck her strong. Let's roll.
Hey, everybody. All right. So this is something that, it's a question that I get often, and I just felt like this would be a great opportunity to talk about it. So my bad. I had a call coming through, so I had to get that off. So today we are talking about why drivers get overlooked for management positions. So again, welcome to the yard. Thank you guys so much for joining. So let's get into it. Drivers typically get overlooked for leadership roles for a few reasons, right? So some valid, some lazy, and some is just straight outdated. So we're going to go through the different ones and talk about each one. So the first one that I wanted to talk about is, let's talk about the management box, right? So some folks think leadership only counts if it happens behind the desk, emails, meetings, less circle back energy, right? But we know that's not always how that goes. So as far as role leadership looks like making decisions, safe decisions in real time, right? Solving problems with limited resources, protecting the equipment and the product, staying compliant even when it's inconvenient, right? Because you do have compliance that you have to stay in. And then representing the company when corporate is nowhere around, which if you guys know me, you know I'm always talking about integrity. That's leadership. It's not just it's not just being dressed up in khakis or a suit, right? That is actual leadership. Now, drivers just don't translate their experience. So, okay, let me give you a breakdown. If you say, I drove and delivered, that's all you say. I drove and I delivered the load. What leadership here is you're a task worker. You're good at tasks. You're good at completing things, right? You're a task worker. Well, let me tell you what you actually did. What you actually did was you managed risk, you executed operations, you protected the assets, you handled the customers, you maintained compliance, and you met service goals. Same job, different language. All right. So I think, a lot of the times you have to talk what you have to learn the language, right? So once you learn the language and what you're doing, you can learn how to transfer that. Same job, different language. All right. So let's talk about attitude. Because attitude, your attitude, attitude could block your blessings. And I'm gonna say this with love, because Auntie love y'all. But I'm also keeping 100 because y'all know me. Some drivers make it harder for everybody else because they show up with, a nasty ass attitude, constant complaining. They blame everybody for everything. Lack of accountability. They arguing with dispatch. They argue with warehouse. They argue with the customers. They argue with everybody. And they think acting with professionalism is optional. I don't know. I just think that your attitude can either make or break you in your professional career that you are building in transportation. If you are the driver who's always late, always complaining, a tire is just raggedy, blaming dispatch for everything, you are scaring your hiring managers. Leadership asks one question. This is the question. Can I trust this person to represent the company when I'm not there? If your brand that you're building is chaos, what make you think they gonna want you to be a representation of their company? Do I want that energy leading my people or the company? Again, attitude is everything. You can be skilled. You can be the best driver they have in that fleet. You could be the best driver, but still be unpromotable because you're difficult. You always have some issues going on. All right, just throwing it out there. So another reason is some companies don't have a clear path or a pipeline, right? From driver to trainer to supervisor to manager. There's really no pipeline. Now, for me, when I was going through, when I started in transportation and I kind of started going through the different areas, any company I go to, I look at what the pipeline looks like. I want to know what it looks like. How do they promote from within? Is there a such, or do they typically go on the outside? What is there a high turnover rate and why? Right. So I look at a company and I look at what the growth looks like. Is this a company that I can stay with and grow with? You know, that's always my question. Can I grow with this company? And if the answer is no, or you notice the turnover rate is always up and down, you could use that company maybe um, as a great step or a great stepping stone to get to where you're trying to get to. I don't know, but you know, I look at that. Any company I go to, I always look at what the pipeline looks like and what the way that how do they promote from within, or if they even promote from within. It's hard to break into a leadership position in a company that doesn't have a pipeline built out for that. But here's the pivot. Leadership isn't a title, actually, it's a behavior. So you can start showing that leadership skill before anybody even promotes you. Start moving with integrity. Remember, integrity is doing the right thing just because it's the right thing, not because somebody's watching. So you can actually start your journey now. When you come into transportation, and again, some people may not have aspirations to make transportation their career. Totally fine. But if you do, you have to start leadership now. You have to watch how you're moving, what you're saying, how your interactions are with the people in transportation. Because, baby, even though transportation seems big, it's little. People talk. Safety talks. DOT talks. Everybody talks. So what you're putting out online and how difficult you are, that stuff can follow you. All right, so let's continue. So let's also talk about what you do now. Let's talk about how that translates into leadership skills. You just need to know how to package it. You are already, what you're doing right now is already leadership. So let's talk about the first one. I have a few notes that I took that where it translates. So the first one is risk management. Every decision you make is risk management. Following distance, speed control, your mirrors, your intersections, your backing, your yard awareness, weather judgment. All of this is under the umbrella of risk management. Every mile, that's leadership. That's judgment under pressure. All right, let's go to another one. Operations management. What is that? That's route planning. Yeah, route planning is not GPS said turn left. It's balancing, right? That's your time windows. Again, we talked about always being late, right? That's time windows, traffic, detours, fuel, breaks, customer priorities, equipment issues, service expectations. That's operations. You do that every day. You just need to know how to word it. Let's talk about the next one. Compliance management. What is that? That's your DOT compliance, right? DOT compliance is not theory for you. It's your life. So that's your logs. That's your hours of service. That's your pre-trip inspections, post-trip inspections, securement, your documentation. Listen, compliance management. Some people talk compliance, you perform it. Some people have just read what compliance is in a book. You do it every day. Every day. That's your job. All right, number 4, I got customer relationships. Every shipper and receiver is basically a customer interaction. Next one is asset protection. A great driver protects their equipment. That is your, again, free trips, reporting defects, preventing breakdowns. Leaders do that too. I'm just saying. Some folks manage people and still can't manage their emotions. You manage 80,000 pounds and keeping your blood pressure low. Listen, baby, that's a skill. You better talk your shit. That's a whole skill set. I'm just saying, you got to know how to package it. You do this every day. You, as a CDL driver, are in a leadership position, and you not packaging it like it is a leadership position. Again, some people may not aspire to go into management, but if you do, if you're one of those people that want to move into different areas, this is what you do. You just need to know how to talk about it, and how to go from putting it as just a driver and you just drop loads and take loads. You need to know how to pack that and talk leadership talk. Your skills are real. Your experience is real, but you have to present it in a way, and you have to clean up your old habits, especially going back, your attitude. So let's talk representation. Remember, your brand is your resume. Your attitude is your headline. Because you can have the skills, but if your brand is messy, leadership ain't dealing with you. It's too risky. You're too risky. You're a hothead. You don't know how to handle conflict. You're argumentative. You take no accountability. These are things that leadership is looking for. Leadership is silently asking you these things. Can I trust you? Can you represent us? Can you handle pressure without embarrassing the company? Can you communicate without getting, slick at the mouth? Or can you get your point across without all that? And do you bring solutions or drama? You always complaining, but what is the solution to this? Or are you just doing this? So that's a few of the things that leadership is looking for when you are applying for these positions. Ask yourself these questions and talk to yourself. You ain't got to tell nobody else your answers, but you have to be honest with yourself. Ask yourself these questions and ask, are you that person? And if you're not, okay, the first step is recognizing it. And then the question is, what can I do about this? So let's talk about driver brand. So the first one is professional presence. Clean, calm, respectful. All right. The second one is communication. Are you able to communicate with your leadership team? Reporting things, bringing solutions. Don't wait till the building's, on fire when you've seen it sparking over there. Don't wait till the building is just engulfed in flames to now say something. So communication is a big one. Emotional control is a huge one. If every inconvenience turns into a big scene, they don't want you on their team. Who wants somebody like that around? Let's be real. Who wants somebody like that around? I don't. Even in my personal life, somebody that's always in conflict and drama, you think I want them in my space? Hell no. Keep that over there, way over there. The next one is consistency. You could drive, your talent is good, your talent is cute, but consistency is what is promotable. So being consistent. Reputation. Reputation is another one. Listen to me, including online. This gets a lot of people in trouble. Y'all be in these groups, bashing whatever company that you with, and then you think that word doesn't get around. And you may slide under under the radar, maybe, but why would you risk that? Okay, you don't like your company. Okay, they did something crazy to you. Okay, why do you ain't got a small circle of friends you can kind of share that with? You want to go online and talk about it, and then you want to try to go into management? Do you know that sometimes management, when you go to these new companies, the first thing they do is go search you up online? Hmm? Did you know that? No? Okay, well, now you do. So, reputation. If your whole vibe is always chaos, beef, I hate my job, they be on bullshit, just everything, just saying. So, your mouth can disqualify you faster than your driving record. And we know how fast your driving record can disqualify you. So, don't let your attitude steal your opportunities. Okay? Don't let your attitude steal your opportunities. So, let's kind of zoom out. Let's zoom out. Transportation is so much bigger than just the driver's seat. So, let's talk about some of the lanes that you can move into. All right. So, I was going to show you guys a clip, but I don't know if I can find it. And plus I don't want to disrupt. So, the first lane that you could possibly go into would be safety and training. You like coaching, you like training. This may be a good area for you to go into. The next one would be DOT compliance. If you love rules, you love details. It's a lot to learn. The next one you can go into is operations, dispatch, fleet. If you are organized, if you know how to stay calm, if we talked about, your attitude. Another one you can go into is maintenance and fleet. If your equipment smart, Another one you can go into is customer and account management. If you're a people person, people smart. Another one you can go into is claims, risk, and accident investigation. If you are very detail driven. And the last one I put here, it's an option, would be like telematics data, safety tech. If you're curious, analytical, things like that. So a CDL is not a dead end, it's actually a foundation. That's how I look at it. It's the foundation of your career in transportation, and transportation is huge. So now let's make this kind of practical. So this is what you should do. Keep proof of your leadership, right? Track your wins, safety incentives that you get, customer compliments, mentoring. So anytime you have another driver in your truck that you're coaching or mentoring, problems that you prevented, recognition messages, keep those things. Because if you don't document it, what's the rule? It didn't happen. All right? That's step one. This is how you're going to keep track of everything. All right? Step two, ask for, ask for or volunteer for different opportunities. Onboarding support, mentoring new drivers, safety committee, ride-alongs, yard audits, training events. Ask for these opportunities. Closed mouths don't get fed. Ask questions. If you see somebody, and this is another bad habit I wish people would kind of get out of. A lot of times people will see somebody doing something and I'm gonna keep it 100. People be hating. Why don't you like that person? Because they doing something that you want to do? You got to change your mindset. You got to change your mindset. When you see somebody doing something that you want to do, you know what you need to do? You need to get closer to that person. You need to ask questions. Introduce yourself. Yes, it may be uncomfortable. It might be uncomfortable. And if it is, that's where you need to be. Growth never happens in your comfort zone. Remember that. A lot of people stay where they're at because they're comfortable. It's comfortable there, right? Once you start getting a little bit uncomfortable, people be like, I don't know about that. And then they go right back to their comfort zone. How you going to grow there? Growth never happens in your comfort zone. So when you see somebody doing something that you're interested in or that you would love to get into, introduce yourself to that person. Build a rapport. Start asking questions. How did you get, what is your career path? What did you do before this? How did you get into this field? I'm sure they're going to be willing to tell you. Also, with social media, you can find out, how to get into these different areas, what qualifications that you need. You can type that in real quick into Google. How do I become a whatever, and it give you a rundown of certain qualifications that you need to possess to get into that. So stop hating. Going back to what I started saying, you see somebody doing something that you want to do, change your mindset. Stop looking at that person with envy. Go get to know that person. All right. The next step, and this is a really big one for me. Okay, I'm gonna put my coaching hat on. If you want leadership, you can't just want it. You have to build it. All right. So start reading and getting familiar with the lanes that you want, whatever that is: operations, metrics, service failures, dispatch language. If you want to do compliance, then you get into audits, violation, documentation. If you want to do training, you need to do some studying on coaching methods, adult learning, documented performance, things like that. Don't get overwhelmed, right? Micro learning is your best friend. I do it often. 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there, one module a day. I mean, again, if you want it bad enough, you're going to do what you need to do. That's all I'm saying. So micro learning, talking about that, I have my personal favorites that I think everybody that wants to get into leadership should take. And this is just the ones I like and that helped me. The first one is communication and conflict resolution. Everything is not a personal attack. Once you learn how to effectively communicate and how to take constructive criticism, it changes your world. You will learn that just because somebody is telling you something that you did wrong, it's not a personal attack on you. Yeah. So communication and conflict resolution. Then the next one I truly think is a great one is leadership fundamentals. And the third one is customer service. Yes, sometimes you have to invest in what you say you want. Time, money. Yeah, I mean, you'll invest in anything else, right? You'll invest in that Starbucks that you go to every morning. You'll invest in that fast food that you go pick up every day. You'll invest in those clothes and those shoes that you like. Invest in your future too. Keep that same energy. That's all I'm saying. The next one is when you're talking, you start changing your language. Don't say, I'm a good driver. Yeah, I'm a good driver. You say, I prevented downtime by catching defects early. I'm just saying, you got to start talking the talk and walking the walk. If you want to be a driver forever, that's your business. I know men and women that's been driving for 30 plus years and they have no interest in getting into management, leadership. They are content out there on the road. If that's your aspirations, salute to you. I love it. I don't care what your aspirations are. If you're going to do it, you need to do it 100%. But if you aspire to go into different areas of transportation, that's what this is talking about. So stop waiting on permission to act like leadership. That should start right now. When you got that CDL and you go into these jobs and you working, this is where it starts. Act like leadership right now. So when that role opens up, you are already in that place mentally, and now it's just going to roll over to now your physical life. But there's no way you can be out here acting ratchet, shaking ass, cussing out, your dispatcher and the freight brokers and the warehouse staff, and then think you're going to get into leadership and then think they're going to take you seriously. They're not. Because this is how you've been acting throughout your career in transportation. First impressions are everything. That's all I'm saying. So let me land this plane as I'm finishing up my tea. So maybe the issue isn't whether drivers can lead. Maybe it's whether we recognize leadership when it comes from the road instead of the office. Maybe. So let me ask you, drivers, what role are you trying to move into next? And what's been blocking you? And then I'm going to also pose a question to the leaders. What makes a driver promotion ready in your eyes? I want those answers in the comment. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast, because again, it's just all about making sure I keep you guys informed. Also, y'all know I'm y'all's biggest push and biggest motivator. And when drivers or my students are coming to me and asking me, Mia, how'd you get into your position? I'm always open to talk about it. And because I get asked about it a lot, I figure why not do a podcast about it? It just seemed right. So from CDL driver to leadership, that's what this was about. So again, if you guys enjoyed this podcast, make sure that you hit the like, follow, and share button. Also make sure that you subscribe on YouTube as well as Spotify and iTunes, which we are on there. I thought I had posted the stuff down here, but down here, there we go. Make sure that you subscribe on Spotify and YouTube at 10-4 Radio, the Yard Talk podcast. Or you can follow Gorgeous Truck Hers at Gorgeous Truck Hers on any social media and all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, or visit gorgeousTruckHers.com online. If you have any questions, if you're trying to break into transportation, if you're trying to break into other areas of transportation and you don't necessarily know how to get there, reach out to Gorgeous Truck Hers, book a consultation, and bounce your ideas off of us. That's what we're here for. We're here to give you our professional thoughts and opinions on how to navigate your journey in transportation. Again, thank you guys so much for riding with 10-4 Radio, the Yard Talk. Tune in next week. We got a good one. Yeah, we're going to have some confessions from the road. Make sure you stay tapped in. We're gonna get into it. I know Yard Talk is uncensored, unfiltered. We talk a little bit about everything. You hear? Not everything. Everything. Yeah. All right, y'all. Be safe. Keep it between the lines. And catch you guys next week. Talk to you guys later. 10-4.